us are getting news from like Uncle Joe, and Uncle Bill, and then some of us are getting news from reputable, journalists and news sources,
right?
And then we collide. What is it? Collide. Then we collide. We clash.
They're both of those things.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it's a problem, and I think that's why, as a nation, we are so divided because we're not even getting the same news anymore.
Well, that's the thing, is that when we're not operating with a baseline of facts.
Correct.
It's really challenging.
It is.
Very, very challenging.
Because now not only am I arguing fact, but I have to bypass all of this propaganda that you got from your news source, which is, some loser on the Facebook.
Exactly.
I can't do that.
And I'm not here to educate people.
Me either. I'm done.
Here to educate people. I'm not.
I'm done.
And that's the other thing too. So this, and I don't know that they listen to this. Oh, they're all already together, so they probably aren't listening to my show. So,
or they're all listening right now.
And my husband's like, please, whatever you're about to say, please stop. I've had some confrontations, not politically related, but like the kind of pent up resentment about something, like you're coming, like I've been introduced to it too late to help address or alleviate whatever that animosity is. Right. And I remember one time one in-law was like, well, I don't know what you guys need. I know it's very challenging with Declan, but if you need to tell us what you need. And I'm like, right. Like now I have to educate them on I'm in the middle of an emergency all the time, raising a child with a disability. And so, you know what? This will be this is for anybody who finds themselves in a situation where they want to help somebody who is maybe struggling or has certain challenges in their lives. Try not to put because people will say, let me know if you need anything, right?
That does not work.
And we won't say anything.
What does that mean?
Right, we don't know. So when Declan was in the hospital, we were at Shirley Ryan for 8 weeks. And so Steve was back and forth. I was staying at the hospital with him. And I will tell you, I came home and the house was just a disaster. And I kind of took a video real quick of it, just to let people know this is what I'm up against.
I'm struggling.
A friend of mine dropped $150 on laundry services.
I love that. And
all I had to do was put everything in a bag, leave it on my porch. It came back all cleaned and folded by category. So folks, I would say if you know somebody who is dealing with an illness, they have a new baby. Oh, for that, buy them gift cards, whether it's to their favorite restaurants that have delivery done.
Yes,
that kind of stuff.
And I'm the kind of friend that I will say, listen, if you need meal prep, I got you. I love cooking. Right. Is what I do. But I never say if you need anything, because what if you need, I don't know,
right, my gutter's cleaned.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Right. I don't do gutters. I don't do windows. I don't do lawn work.
Right.
So let me throw out there what I can do for you.
Exactly. Yes. We are in studio with guest co-host Ken Mejia-Beal, who is a former chair of the DuPage County Dems.
Yes.
And is currently treasurer for Youth Outreach.
Youth Outlook, yes.
I've heard it both ways, mostly when I say it wrong.
Yeah. Only
when I say it wrong. Youth Outlook.
Yeah.
Where do folks go to learn more about Youth Outlook?
Youth-outlook.org.
Excellent.
And it is such a wonderful organization. And can I make an announcement a little bit?
Please do.
So this year I've been really racking my brain on what I can do to bring more like-minded people together for nights of fun.
Right.
So this is our big announcement. Let me get my thing out so I don't get the dates wrong. Hold on. So I am partnering with Skeleton Key Brewery in Woodridge, Illinois. So follow Skeleton Key Brewery on Facebook, the Twitter, and we are going to have Asking Questions. So our first trivia will be January 16th at 6:30 p.m. A portion of my proceeds will be going to Youth Outlook, and we are going to be doing this every single month for the rest of the year. A trivia night with a special category. Our first round is going to be winter trivia, so we're going to have some winter sports and winter cities. But I wanted to create an environment where like-minded folks can get together, meet each other, and build community and have fun. So come on out to Skeleton Key Brewery January 16th. Follow online. Follow me online. It'll be fun.
That'll be fantastic. Yes. And remember to remind folks in your hour as well. and whenever you would like to. Coming up in just a few moments, we're going to welcome Patrick Cortesi, chair of, am I saying his last name?
Yes, you are.
Cortesi, chair of the McLean County Democrats, which is the Bloomington Normal area.
He's a great guy.
And we've got a lot of work to do with them in the years to come as well, because we've been working a lot with Wisconsin. We're going to start splitting our time because all hands on deck for the next 4 years.
We need it. And we have to keep Illinois relatively afloat.
Yeah.
And I think when we disregard our southern brothers and sisters in the state of Illinois, there becomes a generational disconnect.
Yes.
And so we have to do better at building that bridge.
I think you're right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And I also want to let folks know, as I mentioned, Ken Mejia-Beal will be taking over the second hour of the show. So I'm going to get to a couple texts and phone calls before I take off later and before we bring in Patrick. Joe is celebrating his big 59. Happy birthday, Joe. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, dear Joe. Happy birthday to you. And let's see. I think that's all for the text on this show. And let's get to Jim in Chicago. Jim, you're on with me and Ken Mejia-Beal. What's on your mind?
Jim.
Good evening, Ken and Patty. I sent in my $10 to put Trump on Mount Rushmore. There's a big effort to put him on. Yeah, to put him on. Yeah, to put him on. Yeah, to put him on Mount Rushmore. I think he looked perfect up there. He's already raised I don't know how many billions from these billionaires from his library.
So
the
crazy.
most intellectually vacant person I've ever seen in my life.
Intellectually vacant.
I love that term, by the way, Jim.
That's great. Intellectually
I'm
vacant.
stealing that.
Yeah, he's absolutely intellectually vacant. But another thing, the minister, some crazy minister on TV, predicted Trump would win the election because God told him that Trump would win. And then they had pictures of his wife down in some tropical area. So I mean, this is what we're going to get. This is going to be complete celebrityhood from morning, noon to night.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out. I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to talk about the next 4 years. But I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I am not going to be on the air the night of the inauguration. I've decided I'm going to New Orleans. I'm just going to sit at a bar.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, Patty,
I'm going to drink absinthe.
I'll be here.
Yeah, good for you.
I'll be here if you'll have me. We'll cry together.
Yeah, but I mean, the first 4 years were absolutely excruciating. I can't even describe what he's going to be because the news is every time he opens his yap. Here's what he said today. Here's what he said. Here's what Musk said. How about Musk? You know, we've got Madigan on trial and Burke went to jail. In the meantime, Musk ripped out that part of the to the House. The House capitulated and ripped out this
continuing resolution.
Chinese. So he can make. So he can make more dough. So he can make more dough from China.
Yep.
He'll make a couple $1 billion from that. Plus, it puts our security in the risk. So these people are really thieves, Patty. I mean, these are real thieves.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I highly recommend a piece by Rick Perlstein. He let me look up the article, but he just wrote a piece about Alan Rubinstein. He's written a series of articles about billionaires that he's met. And Alan Rubinstein, I had no idea about this guy who formerly had worked for Jimmy Carter. And then after Carter lost, he became a lobbyist and really found the work to be demeaning. So ended up working with, he's one of the founders of the Carlyle Group, which is a hedge fund that has decimated. And they basically fleeced the United States of $1 billion because they took advantage of an agreement between the United States and the Native Americans in Alaska. And just, and scurried away. They're disgusting.
This is just the beginning. This is only the beginning.
Yeah.
He's got another billionaire who denying climate change. I mean, these people are complete criminals, absolutely super criminals. I mean, I've never seen criminals like this in my life. And not only that, but they've got billions and they want to get more money. That's what's really bizarre about it.
Yep.
You think you pull in your tail after that. But anyway, Ken and Patty, have a good night and have a good trip at 6 o'clock, Patty. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And one more phone call before we go to our guest, Patrick. We're going to get to Judy from Niles. Hey, Judy, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Judy.
Hi. I have nothing newsy to, from the outside because we have been completely on our inside. My husband's granddaughter gave birth. I think it was way at the end of the 24th or maybe a minute or so into the 25th. We haven't exactly nailed that down yet. We have a new granddaughter. So
congratulations.
Yay! Congratulations. Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. It's nothing new. This is like his 6th great-grandchild.
Wow. That's so exciting.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, Todd was an only child, and then he had 4 children, and his children have just ballooned. But her mother, this is for my stepdaughter, this is her first grandchild. Of course, she's ecstatic. She can't wait to get her hands on this baby.
Oh,
so that's exciting.
We got updates. Dilated to 7, dilated to 9.
I love it.
All through Christmas Eve, this was going on.
Wow!
And,
wow!
I know. What a Christmas present, huh?
No kidding. Oh, that's lovely. What a way to...
That's a beautiful gift.
And she had a bit of trouble. I think she early on aborted and then must have gotten pregnant right away. She said, because the last time we were actually talking to her, she said, I feel I've been pregnant for a year.
Oh.
Because she had lost but she was, I must say, she was really stiff upper lip through all of that. All I kept saying is, thank God we're in Illinois.
Yep.
Yeah.
In case anything happened, but it was able to go through naturally, and she had no problems.
That's great.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations to the entire family, and I'm so glad for everyone. Thank you, Judy.
I just wanted to let you all know. So I have paid no attention to what's going on in the outside world.
I don't blame you.
You're not missing much. Don't worry about it.
Not. I don't blame you at all.
No, probably not. And I'll find out soon enough.
Congratulations, Judy. Look forward to talking to you again soon. And cherish these beautiful first few days and the months to come, too. All right, Judy? Yay.
Okay, thank you.
That's so beautiful.
I love that.
Let's take a break here, and when we come back, we're going to meet our friends from McLean County Dems, Patrick Cortesi.
Yes.
And we'll have more conversation about what we're going to do in the days, weeks, and months to come here in Illinois. And joining me in studio, guest co-hosting, is Ken Mejia-Beal, Treasurer of Youth Outlook,
yes.
And you can go to the website to find out about their event coming up on January 16th.
January 16th, youth-outlook.org.
Outstanding. More in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal.
Hi, this is Patti Vasquez, and I'm thrilled to announce that Driving at Home with Patti Vasquez now has its very own podcast that you can subscribe to. Actually, 2 Driving at Home full episodes and Driving at Home featured interviews. You can subscribe to one or both. Just search for Driving at Home wherever you get your podcasts, or get the podcast links on my show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com and clicking on my picture.
Patti Vasquez, weeknights 5 to 7 on WCPT 820.
It's a new year when people make resolutions to achieve something special, typically for personal growth. At Total Dentistry, we do the same, but our resolution is daily, consistent, year to year. And yes, you've heard it before. Total Dentistry, a general dental practice like no other. That is our declaration, our promise to you, to provide individualized care to fit your needs. You see, at Total Dentistry, you're not just a chart number. You're not a tooth number. You're part of our dental family. So to us, transparency and trust is key. We understand that life has its challenges, and that's why we created TCP, Total Care Plan, a membership plan for those with no insurance, so everyone wins. So visit us today in person or online. Let's make the resolution to get you a new, happy, healthy smile the Total Dentistry way. Total Dentistry, 847-358-2477, or visit us at totaldentistry.org.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
Hey gang, there's nothing more refreshing after a few hours of door knocking for my favorite progressive candidate than an ice-cold Biden beer or Tammy Shandy. You can now find all the tasty progressive beers of Minocqua Brewing Company throughout the Chicagoland area at wonderful partners like Lions Beverage Express in Schaumburg, Foremost Liquors and Displays, Eastside Cafe Coffee and Wine Bar in East Dundee, and Rand's Liquors on Clark in Chicago. Don't forget to drink and vote responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Joining me in studio is guest co-host Ken Mejia-Beal, who will also be taking over the show at 6 o'clock, so I can go spend time with the in-laws. Yay.
Yay.
Yay! No drama there. But you know what's funny? I think that being in politics, all drama is now fun to me. And joining me in studio is Patrick Cortesi.
Cortesi.
He just told me how to say it. Cortesi. Like Scorsese.
Like Scorsese.
See,
or Swayze.
But the thing is, I have to do all of that to get to Cortesi.
Okay.
Did I say that right?
You got it.
Cortesi.
Yep.
But I have to say Scorsese in order to get to I can't think. I can't think it. Okay, Patrick Cortesi, who is the chair of the McLean County Dems, and we're thrilled to have you in studio.
Absolutely.
And I love that part of Illinois. I mean, look, I've traveled a lot. Jerry and I are both road comics. We've traveled for years, so we have performed in towns like Bloomington, Normal, and done a lot of work in areas like that. And it can be challenging to be a progressive, I would imagine, in areas like that.
Absolutely. And I noticed that when I first moved down there in '97, so almost 30 years ago. It's changed a lot since then. But yeah,
where'd you grow up?
Here
in Chicago. What part of Chicago?
So I'm a South Side guy.
He's a South Sider. Look
I'm a South Side guy.
Come on.
All right.
I grew up in Brookfield. Most of my family's from Cicero.
That's a great area. Mm-hmm. All right. So what led you to move to Bloomington Normal?
Just a change of scenery.
That's a change of scenery.
Absolutely.
Sure.
My brother was living down there at the time.
Okay.
So
Got it.
He's like, come check this place out. You might like it. And
sure.
That was 30 years ago.
You liked it because you never left.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. After a couple weeks, he's like, you might as well find a job. enough me footing your bills. So.
And so were you politically active as a young person in the Chicagoland area?
Not in the traditional sense, no. My mom was an activist, so we were very politically aware. We were very in tune with what was happening. To give you a sense, so my mom grew up on the Near West Side. She went to Marshall High School. She marched with Dr. King. She protested at the '68 convention. She volunteered for Bobby Kennedy. So this is how I grew up. She had records. It would play us records of speeches from John F. Kennedy and things like that. We always watched the debates or the conventions. So we were very aware of what was happening around us politically. So I kind of carried that through. But it was when I got down to Bloomington Normal that I met some friends who were politically active, and they're like, "You seem to have a head for this. We might
we could use you.
We could use you."
Well, for you, Ken, growing up, remind us, like, were you in a household where people talked about what was happening politically?
So I was very fortunate. My grandmother took a huge role during the AIDS crisis, and she did a church for men that were dying of AIDS in the 80s because a lot of folks didn't want to see these men in church. So my grandmother took that upon herself, and she said, we're opening up the basement. We're having Sunday service for these men. My grandfather was a freedom fighter. He was arrested several times for getting out there and trying to get more folks to vote down in Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi. So a long line of
I love that you both have taken sort of this family tradition of being involved and wanting to raise, the alarm, ring the alarm bell when things are going sideways, and to be involved and engaged. And so when they asked you, would you? So was it like just kind of you were showing up at some of the events, or?
Yeah, it was. I had some friends. It would have been 2015.
Okay.
So they were working on vetting candidates for municipal elections and wanted me to come over to a meeting and see if I recognize any names, if I might be interested in helping out get some people elected on a very hyper-local level.
Right.
And that's how it kind of got started.
That's fantastic. Okay, so you start getting involved with the organizations, and how did it go? I mean, obviously Trump won that year, but how are the municipal races that you got involved in then?
They did fine. I think most of the people we were working with won their races, so it was okay, but that was a weird time in McLean County. As good as we've done lately, I think it's important to remember that in 2016, 2017, Republicans held every level of government from McLean County. So from township to local, all our state reps were Republican, all our state senators, our congressmen were both Republican. We had a Republican in the governor's mansion. We had a Republican in the White House.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's having PTSD from Rauner.
Yes.
I just can't.
I forgot about that period of time.
Most of us would like to. God. But you'd go vote, and you'd have maybe 2 or 3 Democrats on your ballot to just vote for.
Yeah.
And it could have been
Dark
very
times.
discouraging. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It's because and DuPage County has done a tremendous amount of work and moving when you were there and obviously a lot of people in the organization of flipping a lot of seats, holding a lot of ground this time in the election. Tell us a little, like how has it changed since 2015? Because in part because of Trump or because people like you are doing the work. It's kind of a combination of all those elements.
Yeah, exactly. It was a combination of both. So Trump got elected in 2016. The party was getting ready to have its December general meeting. Normally 10, 15 people would show up at those. They had actually canceled it because they thought there would be a lack of interest, but some folks convinced them to have the meeting. I believe the number was 125 people showed up at that December meeting and wanted to do something. And so, Yeah,
well, this is what I struggle with because when we were going up to Wisconsin, like I was talking to Kelly Gallagher. She's the Racing County Dems chair. And she was saying, like, before President Biden stepped aside, like they were begging people to come door knocking in June and July. And the day after it was announced that Harris was, they didn't have enough room for people. What blows my mind is that people keep showing up at these events, and we've had this energy, and now we just make sure we're keeping people because it's discouraging. This last election is like clearly very discouraging. So what have you seen? What are you seeing in terms of that sort of energy in this? Because we lost some ground here in Illinois when it comes to
It was because we did so well in our county, and we made so much progress over the last 7 years, but especially this last cycle. So 7 years ago, we were a 15-5 minority on our county board. We have a 20-member county board. We finally elected a majority of Democrats, so we now own
That's amazing.
For the first time in history. Ever
That's
in McLean County, Democrats control the majority of the county board. We were able to reelect Sharon Chung as a state representative, reelect Dave Kaler as a state senator, reelect Eric Sorensen as our congressman. So it was odd. We had a really large election night watch party at a local theater venue. It's a concert place. And we had a big screen behind us with MSNBC on.
Yeah.
And I'm up on that stage with all these people that just won their races, talking about how awesome we did. While in the corner of my eye, I'm seeing state after state after state.
Yeah. We were there.
We were together.
We were together. And it was kind of the same thing. It's like, this person won. We had folks that were running on the ballot that came to our election night party that were winning. And then top of the ticket, it was like, this is not happening for us tonight.
But as far as a county party strategy, we also decided pretty early on that we weren't going to tie ourselves to national politics.
Okay.
That our focus had to be local. Because you never know what's going to happen nationally. And we found that to be really successful, that when we go out and canvass, when we go out and try and talk to folks, that we talk about local issues. When good things happen nationally, it's easy to tie them in. And like you mentioned, once Kamala became our nominee, we saw a huge surge of enthusiasm. So we brought them all in and said, this is awesome. Yes, we could use your help. Let's go walk for Kamala. And then you're also carrying lit for this county board member and this state rep and this state senator and this congressman, right? When people would come in to get their signs for Kamala Harris signs, we had a line out the door. We had like 50 people in line that first day we had our signs. But our office staff did an amazing job. They made sure, cool, it's exciting. Don't forget to get your sign for your county board candidate, and so on. So we made sure we worked up and down the ballot to promote everybody.
Well, let's take a break here. We're in studio with Patrick Cortesi. See, I had to say it in my head. Who is the chair for the McLean County Dems? We also have Ken Mejia-Beal, who's guest co-hosting, former chair of the DuPage County Dems, now treasurer for Youth Outlook. And they have an event coming up on January 16th that you should be a part of. Go to youth-outlook.org to find out about that event coming up at Skeleton Key.
Skeleton Key Brewery, asking Ken, it's a trivia night.
Yay!
And it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's outstanding. Well, I want to find out what we need to do in 2025 and beyond because we did have a little bit of a backslide in Illinois. While we stayed blue, it showed us we have a lot more work to do, especially for the next gubernatorial race. More after this on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal. We're so thrilled you're here.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy tonight with rain and fog. Dense fog possible across many of the suburbs, particularly the northern and western suburbs. Temperatures fall back into the low 40s. Friday, rain likely with highs in the upper 40s and breezy southeast winds. Saturday, cloudy with a high temperature of 51 degrees. Sunday, cloudy with a chance of rain and a high of 46. Monday, mainly cloudy and a high of 44. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 49.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
You know that you can listen to Chicago's Progressive Talk on WCPT AM 820. Stream us live at WCPT820.com and on the TuneIn Radio app. Or you can ask Alexa, Siri, or Google to play WCPT from TuneIn. But now you have another option. We're simulcasting our programming overnights. 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on WSBC AM 1240 for a clearer reception in and around the city. Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. And now overnights on WSBC 1240 AM, where facts matter.
Hey there, it's Carrie Joy with your Work Money Minutes. Today, I'm going to connect the idea of imagining yourself being good at money with my favorite academic research paper ever, which is about shooting free throws. Basketball. Stay with me. The study had one group of players practice their free throws every day for an extra 2 hours, and then another group of players imagining themselves practicing free throws for the same amount of time every day. The researchers called this simulated mental practice. The research showed that the mental practice, without any actual physical execution, improved their free throw shooting more than just going through the motions. I'm not saying that imagining yourself good with money will suddenly make you a gazillionaire, or imagining that free throw shooting is going to make you Damian Lillard, but both can help. For more practical money tips, visit workmoney.org. Till next time, this is Carrie Joy saying, take good care.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our drive home. Joining me in studio is guest co-host Ken Mejia-Beal, former chair of the DuPage County Dems, now treasurer for Youth Outlook. You can go to youth-outlook.org for their the work they do.
Yes, all the work we do and all the work we will continue to do for the LGBTQ kids. And it's the best job I've ever had in my life. I can't stress it enough.
Also newly inducted into the Illinois LGBTQIA Hall of Fame. Congratulations again.
That too.
Yay, woo! It's also part of your introduction.
Yay! Confetti.
We're also thrilled to...
Confetti!
That's the only audio enhancement I have for the show tonight. I'll get some more later.
We're good.
I'll get like a t-shirt cannon or something to shoot
Insurance.
At you. That would be very painful for
somebody would lose an eye.
I don't think that would be wise. Also joining us in the studio is Patrick Cortesi, who is the chair of the McLean County Dems, and we've been talking about his work since 2015 with McLean County Dems and how this last election season went. For folks who don't, we've done some of the autopsy of like what numbers were like. Wisconsin, fortunately, while it went red, it didn't go as far to the right as like Pennsylvania, Ohio. What was surprising to a lot of people, and I've been talking to folks in unions, they're concerned about how much ground we lost as Democrats in Illinois and what that might mean for the next election, the midterm election. So what are you seeing and hearing from people in McLean County, which for folks who don't know, Bloomington Normal area, right?
So again, because of how we chose to campaign, how we chose to run our races, we did better than most of the state. I think we are one of 5 counties that actually increased our Democratic vote share this last cycle.
That's great.
So there are some lessons to be learned with that. You've got to build a big coalition. You got to talk about local issues. You got to talk to people and listen to people. And you can't do it one time every 2 years. It has to be every ongoing thing. You have to have a constant presence in your community. So those are some lessons learned, as well as build a huge coalition. We're so fortunate. We have a very active labor union presence, labor presence in McLean County. We've got them all on board and working. We've got a large LGBTQ plus presence in McLean County. They're all on board and working hard. We've done a lot of work on campus at Illinois State University. They've set records for voter turnout their last 3 cycles.
Nice.
So those are keys to being successful in an election cycle. But we need to make sure that other counties in central Illinois and southern Illinois are able to do the same thing. And that's going to require some investment from the state party, from other county parties, from folks like you who are trying to create a statewide organization that is truly a powerhouse.
Yeah, I agree. Are you finding, I know some folks were disillusioned by the loss, and the folks I went to Wisconsin with, I kept sending them the numbers afterwards, so they didn't feel like door knocking was done in vain. What do you both want to tell people? I'll start with you, Ken, about door knocking and the importance of showing up.
It works. It simply works. Is the best commercial, I would say, because I know the person, or I know of the person, or you're from the same place I'm from. It works. What I will say is I think the reason for a lot of the disillusionment and everything is so many folks did not stick to local.
Right.
And once you try to, and I'm trying to find the right words, so let me just say it, and if it doesn't come out right, you can at me at Ken Mejia-Beal. But when we are talking about so many issues, and we're talking about our county board members, and you're trying to lump all these national issues, it repels some people. But if you talk about, hey, these are local issues, this is a local teacher that your kids might know, and this is a local grocer, and this is, when you do it that way, it works better.
Gotcha. That's good to know.
Yeah. So absolutely, door knocking is the way to go, especially because voters anymore aren't as party-centric.
Correct.
It's so much easier. What we found success doing was when we knock on doors, we don't lead with, hi, we're the Democrats and we want you to vote for us.
Thank you. That's exactly what I tried avoiding. Yes.
Hey, so are you worried about the economy? Are you worried about losing women's rights? Are you worried about losing voting rights? What is the issue that's important to you? Awesome. Well, here's this candidate that believes in the same things.
Correct.
And those things are important to her, too. So I think you might have some common ground there. Would you consider voting for her? Oh, yeah, I would. Well, congratulations. You're now a Democrat.
And that is how you do it.
And how do you introduce yourself at the door? Because one of the things I had to teach so I ran in 2020, and we had a young man who came from Montana. My campaign manager hired our field director. Don't get me started. I love Abby, but this was such a terrible choice. And Dylan was a good kid, but so over his skis in Chicago.
I mean, he's from Montana.
From Montana.
God bless him.
And at any rate, like, he would wear like a black ski jacket and a black ski hat. Like, and it was getting dark.
Oh God!
And and I remember being on a porch next to him, and he would be like, "Is Susan home?" And I'm like, "How about we start with, hi, my name is Dylan, right? I'm working on the campaign for Pat, whatever it is." Like, so I just remember running down the stairs like, "What are you doing?" But what's it like when someone answers the door?
So I'd be like, "Hi, my name is Patrick. I'm one of your neighbors.
Okay.
That's
the way to do it.
Yeah. And I'm out here knocking on doors for my friend Sharon Chung. She's running for state representative. So we're just trying to find out what things are important to you and see if we've got a match here."
Excellent.
That's the way to do it.
Do you know former Senator Dan Katowski? I just feel like, because so much of what you guys talk about, like, I need so many more people in the same room that have this energy. Like, first of all, like, getting, like, rolling up our sleeves and getting on people's porches and having those conversations. Because one of the things that you said was exactly what he taught me to do was, would you consider? Because I was doing that during fundraising too. Would you consider, $200, whatever? And so, yeah, I'd consider it. All right, great. great. It's such a great. It's just a wonderful way to communicate with folks.
And I think what makes successful leaders like Patrick here is folks that talk and listen.
Yes.
And so many Democrats are so bad at listening. And it's like, I got my spiel, I have my talking points, I have my winning points, and now you're going to listen to me. And they do the whole thing, and it's like, do you know what makes this person vote or not vote? What is going on in their home? What makes them happy? You know nothing. You just gave them all these winning points, and they might not impact them at all.
You've got to have it. There has to be a conversation and a two-way conversation. And I will tell you, the folks who aren't voting progressive, liberal, or for Democrats, however you want to label that, aren't doing it because they necessarily don't like our ideas. They're tired of being told that they're wrong and ill-informed and that they don't know what they're talking about.
I make a post about this weekly. But continue. So it's infuriating.
In my workplace, I work with some conservative guys, and they're not jerks. They were raised differently than I was, and that's fine. And constantly, what I hear is, I don't like this idea because this politician yelled at me about that. And that's enough to turn off. So I'm not going to listen to any reasoning or explanations why that might be true. I just don't want to be told that I'm wrong.
Right.
And that is a huge, when we talk about getting out of the metro area, that's a huge problem is, I have family members, I have friends that are conservative, that vote Republican, and these are folks that I've known for years. These are folks that are not homophobic, racist, sexist, etc. And what happens is when you label an entire group of the voting bloc, well, they're all a bunch of crazy, racist, homophobe. It's like, no. Like, are there some? Sure, but we have our fair share too. We're just better at hiding them. But that's another conversation for another day.
Correct.
But when you label people, it does something to them, and you have no in. If that's the word. You have no in.
That conversation shuts down.
You shut it down,
And you have no chance
not at all
expressing any ideas that you might have.
I agree completely, and I think that when you are able to have a conversation, and the other problem I think is that we go by the minivan, right? We go with the list that we have, so we're often talking to people who've voted, triple Ds, double Ds in previous primaries. Are you making any, strides in sort of reaching people that don't? Yeah. So how are you approaching that? Because you were mentioning, talking to somebody who might not agree with you.
The same way what we're talking about. We lead with issues. We don't lead with party politics. We don't say you have to vote Democrat. We're saying vote for these people because they believe some of the same things you do. Their priorities are the same as yours. They have good ideas on how to solve some of these issues for you. And if you do that and don't make it purely about partisan politics, you have a chance.
But how do you get to those doors? Are you just going to every door?
Oh, no. But we can still use minivans. So our, not to talk too much inside baseball, but
please, I love baseball.
The county party's responsibility is to turn out the base. It's that way, if we do our job doing that, then it's up to the candidates in their campaigns to find the persuadables. Correct. Those people who are maybe a 50 on a Dem score, right? That maybe once pulled the Democratic ballot or haven't voted before or aren't regular voters. Those are the people the candidates are going out and talking to.
Gotcha. And how is Latino turnout in your area? Because historically we don't turn out as, as
not so great.
Yeah.
So that's when we're looking at the numbers from this last cycle, we had a lot of good positive points. That's one area that we need to improve on. So as we go into this off year, we're going to figure out a way to do that. How do we get more involved in that community? How do we make strides in building those relationships? What can we be doing as a county party, as elected officials, to create those bonds and to have those conversations?
And that
is what I'm here to help with.
Yes, right?
Just call me. I'll come down.
Yeah. Do you speak Spanish fluently?
Not fluently and not appropriately. So
same. I'm just saying because, a lot of money was pumped into Spanish-speaking radio in the Chicagoland area, obviously in Texas. I mean, like that's one of the places. I mean, so it takes obviously somebody who speaks fluently because radio, people treat radio as though it's dead, and it's not. More than half of Americans still listen to terrestrial radio every day. In rural areas, it's still in tractors and semis. The truck drivers are listening, and Spanish-speaking radio in particular.
But our issue now is in Central Illinois, anyway. There are no moderate radio stations for news for those kind of people, right? Mm-hmm. So we have a radio station in town that we call Insurrection Radio. It is literally a propaganda outlet. They organized a bus trip to the insurrection on January 6th.
Oh my God!
It had 50 people show up. They're talking now that Trump got reelected. They're going to have a reunion party on January 6th.
Oh, joy!
How do we get into that market? Is there any progressive, no moderate? Okay, let's talk to some radio.
The best thing we have going for us as far as radio in Central Illinois is our local NPR station, and they're amazing. Sure, it's by far the biggest newsroom. They do a great job, but it's still not progressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We are, and this is a much bigger conversation with billionaires, because we need billionaires to invest in terrestrial radio and not care if they make a profit. I don't care if we're starting late, but we have to do something.
But here's where this leads to. So we're talking a lot about quote unquote low information voters. Well, it's not always their fault. If they're living somewhere where there isn't a reliable news source, then the only place they get their information is the internet.
We were having that conversation earlier, and the one thing I hate about the term low information voter is most low information voters are not so low information. They're getting lots of information. It's incorrect information. Yes. And I think that's the problem, is we're thinking, oh, they're not getting information. They're getting information. It is just wrong.
Yes.
So the way we approach it is kind of, well, let me help educate you versus let me miseducate you or de-educate what you've learned incorrectly and then start over.
So that's something both the local parties, the state party, and definitely the national party has to figure out, right? Not only do we need to improve our message, we need to improve our message delivery and figure out ways to get into that environment where we can start disseminating some of the correct information.
Correct.
I agree. And you have, by the way, on their website, it's McLeanCountyDemocrats.org. That's MCLEAN CountyDemocrats.org. They have elections for their township coming up, for Normal Township, on April 1st.
Yes.
So folks are already out there doing the work again.
Absolutely.
Never stops.
We took a week off maybe. And then, I mean, literally, I think election night, our elections chair had like 5 tabs with election results, and he had 2 tabs looking forward to municipals. And we're trying to figure some of that stuff out. But yes, we have that township election is very important to us. We were talking about our history. So when we got all those people after Trump got elected, the first thing we decided to do was go after the normal township races. Never had a Democrat elected in the history of that township. We took it over. We elected an entire slate of Democrats to the township board and haven't given it up since. So this is a point of pride for us. We now have another new slate going, and we're going to be working hard to maintain that.
And for folks who can't hear us, I don't know if we reach as far.
It's a little iffy. It's dicey. I tried it.
Yeah. Well, we're online, everybody. Don't forget, you can always listen to us on TuneIn app for free, or you can watch the live stream on Facebook or YouTube. And so folks, tuning in now, who are catching us because Patrick's here, we encourage you to continue to do so.
Please.
But how do folks get involved?
So they can go to that website, McLeanCountyDemocrats.org. There's links to sign up and volunteer to get on our email list. We have a very robust social media presence. My communications guy is amazing. So it's very easy to find out about us. And my ask is always the same. I tell this to our membership. I tell this to anybody who asks me. We're looking for dollars or hours. So if you sign up, there's a place you can donate. We have an Act Blue page. Or you can sign up to get our news information and find out opportunities to come out and give us a hand.
Excellent. And I clicked on their November 11th post, Are You Feeling Blue? And talking about how to, So first of all, it's okay to feel what you feel. But also, this is what I told you after we left Wisconsin. I was sending my co-volunteers information about the ground that we did gain. And this is fantastic. They had the largest vote total for Democratic candidate for president in the history of McLean County. Mm-hmm. And that's fantastic.
That's incredible.
That really is.
I'm real proud of that fact. I'm proud of the fact that we had 3,000 students registered vote on Election Day.
Whoa.
We had 7,000 students, I think, vote early, vote on campus, which blew away all the records. So the fact that we're turning out votes on campus is really, really important to us. But we're going to have to do some real work going forward. I think that's, I'll sidetrack just real quick. Another key to being a successful political organization is you have to have short-term and long-term planning.
Absolutely.
Right? We were a party that was lurching from event to event, from election to election, from thing to thing. You've got to have somewhat of a long-term plan. So we already know what offices we're going after in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years.
That's great.
We know what the plan is. Of course, things happen.
And that's because you're great at what you do.
Well, and I have a great team. My executive board and my elections team is outstanding. We have guys on my elections team that a guy that worked for the state senate, helped with Durbin's campaign. I've got a couple guys that ran state house campaigns. So we know what we're doing. We just had to kind of create that machine kind of thing, like a regular operation, right? Where you're able to do.
Let's stay away from the word machine. Come on. Let's not call it a machine.
Well, we get accused of that down there all the time, of practicing Chicago-style politics.
Oh, boy.
Which is fine. We lean into it.
There you go.
The first time they called us that, we had a Chicago night watch parties. And some pizza and Portillo's.
There you go.
There you go. Well, because you don't want to keep rebuilding the machine. You want to maintain the machine.
Yes.
You want to all you want to do is get in there with some WD-40, make sure it's all going streaming along. So, and then you pick up, like you said, if you need to make adjustments and attachments, then for the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, I think it's crazy smart.
Yeah, if you're doing it right, it should be something that's successful and repeatable. And let's be real. I mean, and Ken obviously can tell you this. None of us are going to do this forever, right? No. So I'm trying to create a program that when I decide I've had enough, the next person who steps in behind it has the plan. I can just literally hand them a folder, because that's all you need to do.
And say, have fun.
Yeah. Plug in some different names and go for it.
And don't call me after 6 p.m.
There you go.
Yes.
Don't call.
Well, this last minute we have before I turn the station over to Ken Mejia-Beal, is there anything, I know folks sometimes have lists of things that they want to say, or is there anything you wanted to make sure you told our audience tonight?
Just how important it is to find out what your local party is doing. And there's always a way to get involved. There's always a way, whether you vote, whether you volunteer. We had such a wide variety of opportunities. We had some retirees, and they would show up at headquarters every day and write out postcards. They loved it. They just sat there for a couple hours, had coffee and donuts, gossiped, and wrote out thousands and thousands and thousands of postcards.
Yep. And for folks, I will tell you, in any way you want to get involved, show up and help them, vacuum or bring them, like I said, bring donuts, all the things. So thank you so much,
Patrick,
you for
having me. I'm so honored to be on your show, and I hope we get to do this again.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to come down to you, whether it's door knocking, maybe putting together a fundraiser for you guys.
Would love that.
It would be a blast. And again, it's McLeanCountyDemocrats.org. That's McLeanCountyDemocrats.org. That's MCLEAN, CountyDemocrats.org, which is the Bloomington Normal area. I wish you a wonderful, I know that you're going to relax a little bit and take some time to enjoy one of my favorite areas of southern Wisconsin. So enjoy that.
Thank you.
Are you going to a supper club at all?
Yes. We'll be going to one in Delavan.
Nice. Yeah. I'm a big fan of the whole area. And there's some great rummage, thrift stores too. Thrift store. Yep. Excellent. We'll hit that. Again, we've been talking to Patrick Cortesi, the chair of the McLean County Dems, and Ken Mejia-Beal is taking over the station right now. It's all yours, Ken. So enjoy.
He's back.
He's back. All right, everybody. I'm going to go hang out with the in-laws. Wish me well.
Have fun.
Bye, Lady B. Talk to you later. Thank you.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
The next time you're having an argument with your significant other, know this: taking just a 5-second time out could help diffuse the situation. That's according to a new study out of Scotland, where researchers wanted to see if they could reduce negative emotions and thereby reduce aggression just by forcing people to take a short break. They created feelings of conflict and irritation through a competitive game, forced couples to wait 5, 10, or 15 seconds before responding to a stimulus. Much to the researchers' surprise, all 3 very short pauses had the same effect of dialing down aggression. Now, experts we talked to said they were not surprised by the results. One told us this shows how fast our brains can work and that we just need to give a tiny bit of time to let the brain do its magic. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. That's 800-708-3091.
Whether you get pulled over or get into a crash, drinking and driving will change your whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Severe thunderstorms have been firing up in Texas. More than 100 flights delayed and dozens more canceled in Dallas and Houston. The area of concern stretching into Arkansas and Louisiana with tornadoes possible. Brian Hurley at the National Weather Service.
They're also looking at a likelihood in some areas of getting 60, 70 mile an hour wind, non-tornadic, as well as potentially some large hail as well, up to the inch to an inch and 3/4 in diameter.
Israeli airstrikes targeted Houthi rebels in Yemen's capital. The head of the World Health Organization was at the airport at the time and says he was just meters away. At least 3 reported killed, dozens injured. Back in this country, holiday sales are being tallied, and Haya Panjwani reports they're up.
Even though Americans are wrestling with high prices in groceries and other financial worries. According to MasterCard Spending Pulse, holiday sales from the beginning of November through Christmas Eve climbed 3.8%. Senior advisor to MasterCard, Steve Sadoff, says that's a faster pace than they expected.
This was against a forecast of 3.2% for the season. So they expected that sales were going to be healthy during the season. They came in a bit healthier than that, and the sales were growing both online and in stores.
The measure tracks all kinds of payments, including cash and debit cards. MasterCard says the last 5 days of the season accounted for 1/10 of the spending. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Unemployment claims holding steady, applications ticking down by 1,000 last week, though continuing claims, the total number collecting jobless benefits, climbed to more than 1.9 million, the most since November 2021. Mortgage rates are up again this week. Freddie Mac puts the average 30-year at 6.85%. And a light day of trading on Wall Street produced a mixed close. The Dow added 28 points, while the S&P and the Nasdaq each slipped less than 0.1%. This is AP News. NFL Thursday Night Football has the Seahawks in Chicago to play the Bears. And a bit of news lottery fans should be aware of. The Mega Millions jackpot has grown to more than $1 billion. Julie Walker has the story.
Mega Millions lottery officials estimate the next jackpot to be a whopping $1.15 billion after no one matched all 6 numbers during the Christmas Eve drawing.
Now, let's see if I can make you a billionaire tonight.
There were lots of winners for smaller amounts. Meanwhile, the next drawing is Friday. That $1.15 billion, or if you take the cash option, $516.1 million, is the 5th largest jackpot in the game's history. The jackpot has been won only 3 times so far this year, the fewest wins in any single year since the game began in 2002. Good luck. I'm Julie Walker.
And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy tonight with rain and fog. Dense fog possible across many of the suburbs, particularly the northern and western suburbs. Temperatures fall back into the low 40s. Friday, rain likely with highs in the upper 40s and breezy southeast winds. Saturday, cloudy with a high temperature of 51 degrees. Sunday, cloudy with a chance of rain and a high of 46. Monday, mainly cloudy and a high of 44. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 49.
Hi, I'm Morgan Fairchild, and I am a lifetime lover of animals. I've rescued every pet I've ever had, so I know firsthand that when you adopt a shelter pet and make them a member of your family, it not only enriches you and your family's lives, but that of your pet's life as well. The champions at American Humane have been helping animals for more than 140 years. Whether certifying the humane treatment of farm animals, rescuing animals caught in disasters, ensuring the safety of animal stars on screen, or protecting our planet's endangered species, they go above and beyond to further their mission and make the world a kinder place for animals. Please consider adopting a shelter pet and supporting American Humane.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. This is Ken Mejia-Beal. I will be your host for the next hour, and we're going to take it easy here. I want to welcome our Minnesota listeners. I want to welcome back all of our other listeners to what will hopefully be an enjoyable hour for all of us. As we discussed earlier in the show, yesterday was both the it was Christmas. It was also the beginning of Hanukkah, so lots of celebration, and we want to keep the party going. I want to know how you guys are doing and what you were up to and what conversations you had around the dinner table. So please call now at 773-763-WCPT. That is 773-763-9278. I want to hear from you. So something that we were talking about a little bit earlier in terms of New Year. Can you guys believe that we are almost at the new year? The conversation about diet and exercise, and it was a conversation that was had at my dinner table and a lot of dinner tables around the country, is a lot of folks are leaning off of traditional diet and exercise and switching, are using in conjunction weight loss shots. So a couple of things that I found interesting, and I'm pulling up my research here, kind of shocked me, is that 6 out of every 10 gym goers, active gym goers now, is on some form of shot, whether that be Ozempic, Mounjaro, trizipatide, or semaglutide. So the weight loss trend is definitely picking up. So if you are someone that partakes in this, I love to hear from you, get your opinion. Are you afraid of the side effects? What are the side effects? Let's talk about it. And I want to welcome, again, Minnesota, KTNF AM 950 and WCPT 820 on the Heartland Signal. The next hour, I really want to talk about the new year, what we're looking forward to, what we're not looking forward to. Something that we are all waiting for is January 20th. That is when Donald Trump will be sworn into office for his historic term. No other presidential candidate in history has ever lost and come back and won. So it is going to be history making. I know how I'm feeling about it. I'm feeling not happy. But this is where I'm optimistic. And I want all of us to collectively close our eyes and think of where we were after he won the first time. We're probably going through those same emotions again, but look at how great the next 2 years after we were able to overturn Congress. What I want folks to focus on is not giving up hope and focusing on the fact that we have to build on the momentum. And that's kind of a problem that we as liberals have had for a long time, is we win and we're happy. And I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, and she said, Ken, you're in politics. Can you explain something to me? And I said, sure, what is it? She goes, why are conservatives always unhappy? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, when they win, they're angry. When they lose, they're angry. What is it? And I said, well, maybe we as liberals should take some of that anger and just carry it with us a little bit. Maybe we get a little too happy too easily. But there is something to say. I think conservative folks hold on to a lot of anger. And as something my therapist would say, there is no such thing as anger. So underneath a lot of conservative anger, I think there's a lot of fear. And what that fear is a lot of different fears. It's a lot of different stuffs going on. But we as liberals have to tap into that. We have made so many strides, so many gains, so much. We have to tap into, I don't want to tap into fear, but we have to tap into our hope, and we have to carry it. And we have to turn our hope into something energetic, energize, propel it, and move forward with it. So whatever we can do, if you guys have any ideas of what we can do to take that energy, propel it, give me a call at 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. I want to welcome Steve. Steve, you're on the air with Ken Mejia-Beal. How's it going, Steve?
Well, I'm fearing January 20th, but other than that, going pretty well.
Good.
I hate to be a big history nerd, but Grover Cleveland was also elected to 2 non-consecutive terms.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what, Steve? I appreciate you calling. I did not know that. I thought I was born in the 80s, and I'm a product of our...
No excuse.
Come on, Steve. It's the holiday season. Well, thank you. I will never make that mistake again, Steve. Thank you for calling.
Good to hear. Have a great...
You too. There you go. And Ken does not know everything. But what I do know, I know. I think we're double checking that just to make sure. So in other news, pulling up my fact check here. Also happening in the news, we are being told a lot of what Trump has vowed to do on day one. And a lot of those promises include closing the U.S.-Mexico border, pardoning Capitol rioters. Those are the top 2 on the agenda list. And when we talk about closing the U.S.-Mexico border, for me, this is a conversation that transitions into immigration. And what Trump has vowed to do, and I don't have the exact number, is he wants to deport so many people that are in this country. And regardless of where you stand on the topic of immigration, what kind of scares me a little bit is I am always afraid when we galvanize and utilize our military, our law enforcement to turn on people. It usually doesn't go well, and it screams of dictatorship. And I'm horrified about that. I am terrified of what happens to so many law-abiding citizens that are in this country. And we have to really... There was something I saw this weekend. I highly recommend it. If you have Amazon Prime, there's an episode of The Twilight Zone there, and I won't give it all away, but it's about a person who is unaware that they are not in our dimension legally, and they are deported, so to speak. And it was a very interesting story, because when we talk about immigration, the people that we tend to overlook are the folks that have been in this country their whole entire life. To my knowledge, I was born in a hospital in Arkansas, but let's say I wasn't, and one day I am sent somewhere. That is very traumatizing. It is very traumatic, and it's not who we are as a nation. It is not who we are as Americans. It is not what we're built on. So my ask for everyone listening is, as we prepare to celebrate the new year and we prepare to celebrate, we also have to prepare for what are we going to do, not just to help ourselves, but to help our friends and family and neighbors and the most vulnerable amongst us. Because as we've saw from the last 4 years, the last Trump administration, the most damage that is done is usually to those that are already disenfranchised. So we're talking our immigrant communities, we're talking our communities of color, our already disenfranchised communities. So I also want to hear what we are collectively planning to do to help our neighbors, what we're planning to do to uplift, and what are we planning to do for the midterms, because that will be here before we know it. We also have municipals right around the corner. What are we doing to make sure that we are getting out our voters? And that is going to be something that proves to make or break us in the next 2 years, is we are coming from behind, and we must win back the trust of our voters. And I'm getting document on Grover Cleveland. So Grover Cleveland was the first person to... So thank you, Steve. Not that I did not believe you, but you taught us something that we did not know. And that is why this program is here, so that we can learn. And I'm also happy that I said that out loud. So now if I'm ever memed or made fun of, that's going to be the video of me saying that. But what I want to hear from you is, what are we collectively doing to support those folks that are going to need the support? When we talk about women's health care, for example, the part that tends to get left out of this conversation is women with financial means are going to have access to safe abortions. It is going to be the women that are disenfranchised that are going to suffer the worst. When we talk about these huge immigration policies, what we have to remember is America is one of the greatest countries in the world, ... Mistakes are made. There have been stories of folks that are picked up by government entities, put in places, sent to places, and they're American citizens. What are we going to do for those that can't necessarily afford to come back? Or we have to, especially as blue states or as liberals, this is the time for us to put our money where our mouth is. And by that I mean, when we look at the vote numbers for the last presidential election, for those of us that have our eyes open, we can see the disenfranchisement, the disillusionment with the Liberal Party, the Democratic Party. And a lot of that disillusionment is based on I believe it was a Political article, our inability to actually get things done. I don't know if that was the exact way they put it, but it is something that a lot of our non-voters are talking about, is Democrats do not have the ability to get things done. What I encourage everyone to do, especially over these next 2 years, is we have to show those folks that don't think we can get things done, we have to get things done. And that starts with getting things done with our disenfranchised communities. We have a lot of work to do. And I want to talk to you when we come back from break. We are going to go to break, but when we get back, I want to talk to you. 773-763-WCPT. I'll be back in a second.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In 1939, when Europe was on the brink of war, a single mother was bringing Jewish refugees into her home, teaching her 2 daughters to help others when you can and fight injustice. Freddie and Charles Alferstegen took their mother's advice to heart, joining their mother in distributing anti-Nazi newspapers and pamphlets for the resistance, a dangerous act when the Nazis invaded the Netherlands. But with the girls being young, Freddie being only 14 and Charles being only 16, Nazis were less likely to suspect them to be working for the resistance. This is most likely why in 1941, a commander of the Haarlem resistance group to ask their mother if he could recruit Freddie and Truss. Their mother and the girls agreed and were given basic training, and within 2 years the girls were bringing Jewish refugees into hiding, working in emergency hospitals, sabotaging bridges and railway lines, and killing Nazis, sometimes ambushing them from their bicycles. Despite the Netherlands not wanting to acknowledge the girls' achievements, their contributions to helping the Allied powers will never be unnoticed.
These are real stories of speech-language pathologists and the people they helped.
He was in his 30s.
55 and far from home.
15 years old with multiple disabilities.
It was a traumatic brain injury.
He's bilingual but lost his English after the stroke.
Several surgeries led to his swallowing disorder.
His goal was to get back to work.
I used French during therapy.
Others almost gave up on the goal of him eating.
Oh, he was dedicated.
Together, we built his life back.
Social interaction was the key to helping him.
And he made it back to work.
When he ate, his friends cheered.
Everyone has the right to communicate.
And later, he was able to travel across the world to his family.
Are you or someone you know experiencing a speech, language, or swallowing disorder? An ASHA-certified speech-language pathologist can help. Visit us at asha.org/public.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Welcome back. My name is Ken Mejia-Beal, and I am checking in. Patti had to leave early. She's out with the in-laws, having the best night ever, hopefully. And I am here. So something I want to talk to you about really quick and invite you to, if you're in Illinois. I have long wanted to connect like-minded folks in one space to have a good time and get to meet each other. And thanks to Skeleton Key Brewery, I am allowed to do that. So January 16th, Asking Questions, and that's ASKEN, that's my name, Ken. We are hosting our first trivia night at Skeleton Key Brewery. So please follow Skeleton Key Brewery on Facebook, Instagram, and make room to come to trivia on Thursday, January 16th. Our team sign up begins at 6:30 p.m. and a portion of my proceeds will be going to Youth Outlook, and you can check out Youth Outlook at youth-outlook.org. We are an organization that provides stability, security, and sanity to LGBTQ youth and their families. So January 16th, is going to be our winter trivia, so all the questions will be about winter. We're going to do it We have a special day set out every single month. The topic will change. The reason I wanted to do this, and it's something that piggybacks on what we were talking about, how do we engage? How do we engage liberals? How do we engage Democrats to be more active? And I believe the way to do that is to have a community and build community. Let's be honest. How many of us want to sit and go to our local city council meeting? A few of us do. And I applaud those of you that make it to those city council meetings. But most of us want to be politically active, be politically engaged, but we also want to have fun. We have jobs, we have kids, we have lives. So that is why I believe the best way for liberals to get together is to not always plug into our political stuff, is to get involved in trivia nights, get involved in line dancing, get involved in whatever we get involved in. I will not be starting line dancing in 2025. We're going to look forward to that in 2026. I would like to start line dancing with you and talking about politics. But in 2025, January 16th, come on over for trivia, Skeleton Key Brewery. Come for the trivia. Stay for the camaraderie. Let's build community together. Why is it so hard for we as left-leaning liberals, Democrats to build community? And that is a question that I've asked millions of times, and I finally think I have the answer. I think it's because we are such a multi-layered group of people. We're not all going in the same direction. Some of us really care about the environment a whole lot, and that's our thing. And some of us really care about equal wages and equity and social justice, and that's our thing. What I love about being a Democrat, being a left-leaning person, is that we should all be able to get together, have a good time, focus on the things that bring us together, and not argue about the things that pull us apart. But typically, that doesn't happen in political settings, which is why we have to find ways to build community. We have to find ways to unite. And more importantly, we have to find ways to support each other. And that is one of the biggest takeaways. It should be one of the biggest takeaways of the last election, is so many, especially marginalized folks of color, especially men of color, feel disattached from the Democratic Party. We have to do better at bringing folks in. And it's not just about saying, okay, we're Democrats and we want to keep the folks we have. I think where the Republicans might have edged us a little bit is they found a way to bring in new people. And I was talking to a friend of mine named Greg. Hello, Greg. Hope he's listening. Good friend Greg Harris. And there were a group of about 5 or 6, 4 young black men under the age of 30 and 1 Latino gentleman. And they were all leaving a Charlie Kirk event. And these are young men of color. And I thought to myself, well, that's a shame. But then I thought to myself, I have not seen young men leaving a Democratic event so jubilantly, so joyously in a long time. And maybe it's because we're not doing a good job of inviting them. So we gotta get our people back. We have to get the ground. And one of the talking points that I hear, and it makes me cringe a little bit, is we have so many liberal talking heads that are going, well, Trump didn't win by the amount that he proclaimed he won. So I like to remind everyone, we have a word for folks that win by 1 vote. They're called winners. So it doesn't matter if Trump won by millions or if he won by 1. The point is he won. So instead of having these conversations and these think tanks about how much he won by or how much he didn't win, I think as liberals, we have to sit down, realize he won, somehow the Republican Party has picked up the working class voter. We got to get them back. And that starts with reaching out to the working class voters. We had a guest a couple of months ago. His name's Paul Aguilera, and he said, what we have to do as liberals is we have to start speaking to people that we don't agree with. And that is one of the biggest problems that we as liberals have. We have a hard time holding our own accountable. I could have a whole hour show about holding our own accountable. We also have a hard time accepting imperfection. We have a hard time owning things that we have not done so well on. And I know we have another break coming, but we're going to talk more about that when we get back. Feel free to join the conversation. Call now at 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. I'll be back.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy tonight with rain and fog. Dense fog possible across many of the suburbs, particularly the northern and western suburbs. Temperatures fall back into the low 40s. Friday, rain likely with highs in the upper 40s and breezy southeast winds. Saturday, cloudy with a high temperature of 51 degrees. Sunday, cloudy with a chance of rain and a high of 46. Monday, mainly cloudy and a high of 44. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 49.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
Many parents will soon send their children off to summer camp, scouting events, and sports activities. But without proper safeguards in place, these environments can provide opportunities for sexual misconduct and abuse to occur. Norman Bates is an attorney and child abuse prevention expert.
Two critical things. First of all, you've got to have a conversation with your kid about what is inappropriate conversation or inappropriate touching by, the camp counselor or even an older teenage child, so that your child feels comfortable to, in turn, report that to you as the parent. The other half of it is talking to the people who manage the summer camp or otherwise and asking them how they screen, how they do background checks on both the employees and the volunteers, and also how they supervise, what their rules are with respect to the one-on-one contact with a child.
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. A letter in your mailbox says you could save money bundling your home and auto insurance with Progressive. Bad news. You saw it after your teenager backed the car into the mailbox. Dumb news. A new mailbox, basically a box on a stick, costs up to $400. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and go with paperless mail instead. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
There's so much that goes on behind closed doors.
On WCPT 820.
Welcome back. Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. This is Ken Mejia-Beal, treasurer of Youth Outlook, organization that helps LGBTQ kids find stability, sanity in a crazy mixed up world. And thank you for listening to our listeners in Minnesota, KTNF AM 950 and WCPT 820 on Heartland Signal. And before we left, we were chatting about what we can do to bring more people into our liberal fold, into our Democratic fold, because we have to grow. Number one, we need youthful leaders. Folks want to see a reflection of themselves on the ballot. I will tell you, I am from DuPage County, which is the second largest county in Illinois, used to be the second reddest county in the country. And as a black voter, I've been a Democrat for many, many, many moons. But one of the things that annoyed me is I was always being pushed to vote, pushed to vote, pushed to vote. And there were no people of color on our ballots. Second largest county in Illinois. And I will vote for Democrats, but yeah, where's my reflection? So I say this to say, when we talk about how we grow the party, we have to start allowing different kinds of people to run for office. And by that, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with having more people under the age of 75 running for office. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great to have people in their 20s running for office. We have to start allowing more folks of color to run for office. We have to start allowing more LGBTQ folks to run for office openly. And I want to stress there is a difference between saying we want LGBTQ people to run and saying we want LGBTQ people to run openly and unapologetically. We want more elected officials that reflect our values. And that's something that, you know, I won't throw anyone under the bus because we are so close to January 1st, and I've been on the nice list all month. But I've been to so many Democratic events in racially diverse, socioeconomically diverse communities, and you walk into the room and there's no reflection. You walk into the room and everyone is 75 and socioeconomically upward and white, which is totally cool. But when we're talking about building, you have to take a step back and say, okay, what are we not doing right? We have to get more young people involved, and we have to put young people in the front of the room. We have to. And I have a friend of mine, he's on one of our school boards. His name is Christopher Espinoza. He's one of the most brilliant young people I've ever met. He's a young Latino man in Downers Grove, Illinois. So when you see him on your ballot, please vote for Christopher Espinoza. Great guy. And even he has had problems where folks don't take him seriously because he's young or because he's Latino. And it's like, but he is the future. He is the future. We need more folks like him. I used to be the future, and now I'm not. But we need more folks like me. We need more folks that can talk to different communities. And that is where the Democratic Party will build. We can't lose any more voters, sweet Jesus. We cannot lose. But we have to build. We have to start reaching out, and we have to start listening more and lecturing less. One of my favorite humans in the world, Judge Judy, and trust me, I don't agree with her 100% of the time, so don't at me. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But one of the things that she says quite often is God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Use the ears more than we use the mouth. So that is how we have to grow the party, and we have to start doing it today. We have to start doing it today. So get those young people in there, get those folks of color in there, and for the love of God, do not tokenize these people. Let's utilize them for their skill sets. And that is how we grow. One of the best campaigns I've ever seen in my life, it was an unknown congressional candidate. She was a breath of fresh air. I had never met anyone like her, and her name is Lauren Underwood. Yeah. And I had never seen anyone as dynamic as her. And she came in, and people were kind of looking at the map and looking at the district and going, I don't think she's going to win. I met her one time. I said, oh, she's going to win, because she had it. And the fact that she was a woman and the fact that she was a black woman were the cherries on top. Mm-hmm. And there are so many candidates that we can get out there and that can win. We just have to cultivate them, and we also have to get big money out of politics. We have to get big money out of politics. That's a hindrance. But we also have to get around. A lot of times in these political back rooms, what happens is when we're looking for folks to run, it's who do you know that can run? And I can tell you most of us know people like ourselves. So if you have a room of 160-plus-year-old white folks in a room, and you say, who do we know? Guess who we're going to know? So it's about getting out of our little four walls, going into the communities, going into these NAACP meetings, going into the LGBT communities, going into the mosque, into just different communities and meeting people. I've met so many wonderful folks that I've personally recruited to run from office outside of the political circles because I said, I am so tired of running the same people. There have to be more people. How do we build the energy? So we as Democrats, we have to get our energy level back up. And now I am done lecturing you for a little bit. I want to talk about something fun. So don't forget, you can call in and join the fun at 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. So something I do every year on my birthday. My birthday was December 19th, and I turned 22. Don't look up my picture. I am 22. I just am a rough 22. I've been through things. I'm a millennial. We've been through things. I'm 22. But anyway, well, I have a birthday tradition. I invite my friends over, and we all watch Mommy Dearest. Yes. We watch Mommy Dearest. If you've never seen it, do it. But this year, we're all watching Mommy Dearest, and something struck me, and it never struck me before. But I thought, why are we not making great biographies anymore? And it's kind of funny, with a lot of the biographical movies being made now, the person is a part of the movie. And it's something I sat back and I thought about, is if a movie were being made of me, starring Sterling K. Brown, because he's the only person I want to portray me, because he's awesome, would I want the negative stuff of my life out there? And the answer to that is absolutely not. And there's something I think that we've lost along the way when we include the person we're talking about, we're memorializing on film in the movie. Because Mommy Dearest, I feel like it was honest, it was brutal, and it was not positive. I highly doubt that Joan Crawford would have liked the way she was presented, but I found it to be very honest. And I recently saw the Bob Dylan movie, and it was good, ... But I get a feeling that Bob Dylan was a part of the behind the scenes of it, because there were certain, I just believe in any of our lives. I think all of our lives are like a book, and there's going to be certain chapters where you're a hero, and certain chapters where you're a villain, and certain chapters where you're a victim, and certain chapters where you're just the character in the background. If you are the hero in every single chapter of your book, something is wrong with your book. Because I can tell you, my book, between the ages of 18 and 24, I am probably the biggest villain on the planet. I was selfish. I was reckless. I hadn't quite mastered words yet. And I didn't know very much. But the worst part about being between the ages of 18 and 24 is I thought I knew everything. But that was one of the things I thought about while I was watching Mommy Dearest with my friends, is we need more real biographies that really showcase the pros and the negatives of humanity. Because I think that's the beautiful part of being human, is we're flawed. We are not perfect. We make mistakes, and if you're a good person, you learn from them. If you're not a good person, then you're Donald Trump. But anyway, but that's part of being a good person, is saying, okay, I made a mistake. I'm learning from it. How can I grow from it?